And the White House says President Trump and Russian President Putin will hold a joint news conference after their highly anticipated summit tomorrow. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt announced the plan in an interview this morning. Yesterday, President Trump said there will be very severe consequences if Putin decides to continue the war in Ukraine. Now, Putin is suggesting he will discuss a nuclear arms agreement in that meeting. Let's bring in ABC News State Department reporter Shannon Kingston and national security and defense analyst Mick Mulroy for more. So, Shannon, what's the latest on this meeting?
Well, Diane, it was absolutely remarkable to see the White House confirm today that the plan is to have President Trump and Russian leader Vladimir Putin stand together during a press conference. I mean, the optics here are just really extraordinary, especially considering that Vladimir Putin has been so isolated by the West for years now, ever since that full-scale invasion of Ukraine. But I also want to emphasize that these are just best laid plans, right? There's still plenty of room for things to go awry. You can definitely imagine a scenario where if either party feels that the meeting doesn't go well in Alaska, or President Trump doesn't feel that he's able to extract the deliverables that he wants to see, where the plans for this presser do very much change and very quickly.
Nick, what do you make of Putin now suggesting they'll also discuss a nuclear arms agreement tomorrow?
It's a bit of a sidebar, Diane. I think maybe it's doing the typical nuclear saber rattling that he usually does, talking about the fact that they have thousands of nuclear weapons, which of course we already know, but maybe trying to expand this so that there's some way that he could have President Trump get a win out of it, because it's clear from the readout of the meeting between the U.S., Ukraine, and our European allies yesterday that they expect that after this meeting, there will be a ceasefire. And if there's not a ceasefire, that these severe consequences that the president is talking about would go into place. And I think President Putin already knows what he's willing to do and not do. And right now, it looks like he thinks he can win this war. So he's probably not going to concede to anything that would be agreeable or amenable to Ukraine or Europe. So perhaps he's just trying to expand this to include something that would give both sides a reason for coming together and having this discussion.
Shannon, the British Daily Telegraph reports Trump is working on a deal that would give Russia access to natural resources in Alaska in exchange for ending the war in Ukraine. What more do we know about that?
Well, we do know that the Trump administration has sought to use these business deals to promote peace basically in every corner of the world. This is something that has been top of mind for the Trump administration. But we also have seen the president commit to setting up a ceasefire first before any kind of in-depth negotiations. But I think we can expect that Vladimir Putin at the summit tomorrow will try to appeal to the businessman in the president, try to float different offers, different favorable conditions on the economic front, really anything that he can do to distract the president from the number one issue at hand, the war in Ukraine.
And Mick, is there any precedent for a deal like that? How would that affect the U.S.-Russia relationship?
So, of course, there's cooperative agreements for access to key natural resources like the one Shannon's describing. It would be a bit odd to trade it for a peace negotiation settlement and a conflict. I can't think of any example of that happening, but this is a bit unorthodox. But I do think what Shannon brought up about the fact that we want to see a ceasefire to start these negotiations is critical, because the U.S. proposed a ceasefire back in March. Ukraine accepted it. Russia did not. From the readout of the discussions yesterday, it's clear that that's what Ukraine wants to see and that's what Europe wants to see. So there's a lot of pressure, I think, on President Putin to either agree to that or stand by for the consequences, which could be these secondary sanctions, this passing of the Senate bill, the Sanctioning Russia Act, which could have an impact on President Putin's ability to fund his war.
All right, Shannon Kingston, Mick Mulroy, thank you both.